Okay, here we go. This little video is to help you review the parts of the circle. You're going to want to take notes as you go. So you should have, by the time you're done with this video, you should have 4 circles and their parts identified along with the math processes associated with them. Okay, so take good notes because chances are your teacher will ask you to redo it if you don't have notes. But anyways, here we go. Let's take a look at our first circle. In this circle, you can see that they ask us to identify the radius, the diameter, and the circumference. Okay? Now, in this case, you can see you have your center point, and then you have this line segment that goes to the edge there. And so they've identified the radius, and they've identified the radius, and they've even given it a measurement of 14 inches. All right? Then they ask for the diameter. Remember, the diameter is all the way across through the center line of a circle. It's a chord that goes through the center of a circle. All right? And so in order to get the diameter's distance, you simply have to double the radius. Okay? And you can simply take 14, multiply it by 2, and then you would get a diameter of 28. Alright? So, that's one way of finding the diameter of a circle. Alright? Then it asks you to find the circumference of a circle. Well, remember, circumference is the distance around a circle. And you use the formula for circumference of 2 times pi times the radius. Okay, so you're going to multiply pi by 2, and there are other formulas they use, but this is the formula that we were taught in our videos. And so we have to remember that pi is 3.14. Okay, that's the working number for pi. So this is actually going to involve 2 steps in order to find it. Okay, and sometimes you'll have to estimate and round to get your answer, right? So the first step is to take 2 and multiply it by pi, 3.14, which gives us 6.28. Then we take the 6.28 and we multiply it by 14, which is the radius, okay? And we get 87 and 92 hundredths inches as the circumference. Okay? All right. So let's move on. Let's take a look at another example. Here's another example of a circle. And this time they say, okay, well, what is the radius? Well, we know that a radius is the line segment from the center to the outside edge. And it is marked down clearly as 8 feet. Then they want to know what the diameter is. Well, the diameter is twice the radius. So what we do is we take the radius of 8 and multiply it by 2 and get 16. So our diameter in this case is 16 feet. Well, now we go on to figure our circumference, and circumference is figured by multiplying 2 times pi. Pi is 3.14. So all we have to do is multiply 3.14 by 2 and we get 6.28. And then we are going to take pi and multiply the radius. The radius in this case is 8, so we take 6.28 or 6 and 28 hundredths times 16 and we get 50 and 24 hundredths of a foot. Alright. Okay. Now we go on to another example. And we have another example. Okay, and this time they ask for the radius, the diameter, and the circumference again. But in this situation, they're giving you an entire chord of the circle. So in other words, they're giving you a line from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle, and it goes through the center point. Okay? So this distance, whether it's here or up here, indicates that total distance traveled. So the radius then will be half of 38, which means you simply divide 38 by 2. 2 into 3 will go one time. That's 2. Subtract, you have 1. Bring down the 8. 2 into 18, 9 times. Subtract, you end up with 0. So our radius is 19. Well, the diameter is given to us as a part of the measurements, and that's 38. So now we get to figure out the circumference, and again, circumference is equal to the formula of 2 times pi times the radius. So we will then take 2 and multiply it by pi again. We get 6.28. And again, I would like to emphasize that there are other formulas for finding the area of circumference, but this is the one we've been first introduced to. So anyways, we take and we multiply by pi, we multiply pi by 2, and then we're going to look for the radius. Now remember, we had to find the radius of 38, and the radius of 38 is 19. So we're going to use 19 in that part of our process. So we now have 6 and 28 hundredths times 19, which gives us 119 and 38 hundredths of a centimeter for the circumference. Okay? Alrighty, let's try another example here. Alright, now in this case, once again, you can see that they've given us a chord all the way across the circle through the center point, okay? And they've identified it as 16 feet. So when you see this long chord all the way across, you know they're referencing the diameter. So right away, our diameter is 16 feet. Well, the radius, okay, the radius is equal to 1/2 the diameter. So if you take 1/2 of 16, you will get 8. So in this case, the radius is 8 feet. Alright? Then they ask us to find circumference. Okay? And again, we have 2 times pi, 2 times 3.14 equals 6.28. And then we take our radius, which is 8, and we multiply 6 and 28 hundredths times 8, and you get 50 and 24 hundredths of a foot. Okay, and again, this is an approximate answer because we are working with pi, which is always an estimate because of the nature of pi. Alright, so anyways, there are your examples, and you should be able now to show your teacher these notes, and hopefully you'll be able to answer any questions your teacher might have related to this video. Alrighty, there we go. Good luck.